Hello everyone, you're listening to Tech Transformed. I'm your host Paulina, and in today's episode I speak to Ryan Worobel about the evolution of traditional monitoring to observability and the cultural challenges organizations face during this transition. If you want to learn more about how to implement AI in organizations, the risks and opportunities associated with it, and the necessity of understanding company culture for successful adoption, please keep on listening and enjoy this episode. Ryan, thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
We've been prepping this podcast for quite a bit. We are already here, but I want you to give us a little bit of context as to yourself, your background, where you come from. Tell us all that.
Sure. So I've been in the technology world for, 25 years. And every time I say that, it makes me feel a little bit older. But it's been such an amazing journey, and everything has changed so dramatically. I really started my career in consulting for my first 12 years or so, working with lots of system implementations, and got into corporate IT in the mid-2000s and got my breakthrough there with Dell. So I worked a number of years at Dell and then went on to Maersk, living in Europe and working, again, large shipping or company, both the shipping and the terminal side. I then went into aerospace, and now I'm kind of back to where I started in the software space. And so having been a CIO for the past, 10, 12 years now, I've certainly seen a lot of changes in how we operate and how we're expected to operate within companies. And it's been a really interesting journey for sure.
I mean, this is why I have you on the podcast, Ryan, because I am here to pick your brain about certain topics that, we see this shift in traditional monitoring. And for those who, might not be aware of it, it's kind of this approach of tracking predefined metrics and alerts to ensure that a system operates correctly. And now we're seeing that transition into, from traditional monitoring to observability. And it provides a kind of comprehensive visibility into system behavior, like I was just saying. But also it demands a lot of cultural change within organizations. I've heard that, there is a need to kind of ensure that there's a collaboration between teams, rethinking workflows, breaking down silos. So tell me, what are some of the cultural or even technical challenges that organizations face when it comes to navigating this transition between traditional to observability?
Sure. So I think observability does start to drive a different need for working together. With the traditional monitoring, it's going to some DevOps guys who are trying to navigate and figure out really what's going on. And it was highlighting that you have a problem. In its simplest terms, monitoring was, hey, you have a problem. In observability, your problem is here, and here's where you need to go solve it. So it's much more direct and comprehensive. And because it's that, really what it's done is we've gone from a world where everybody needed to be on a call, and you'd have 50 people on trying to figure out really where the issues were. And it was almost an elimination of people who may or may not have been part of the issue. And now we're in a place where we can have much smaller, more defined groups that are tackling the problem, but they're working very tightly together. So I think there is, from a cultural shift standpoint, FOMO is probably the wrong term for it, but it used to be everybody wanted to understand what was going on. Yeah. And most of the time it was a waste of people's time. They were just sitting on a call and not speaking. Whereas now you have a very focused action group who's able to resolve the issues at a much more rapid pace. So it is certainly a shift, and it's a shift for the positive. It's a shift for speed to recovery, for kind of that MTTR world. But it also sets expectations that, uptime is table stakes. There is no room for downtime anymore, and we need to be able to resolve it very quickly. And that comes from the top down very much so. And the tolerance is much lower.
Yeah. And I was just talking to someone else talking about, data is king. And now ever more than before, we're just collecting a lot of information, a lot of data, and a lot of these observability tools that we're seeing now, they generate massive amounts of, data or logs, metrics, traces, all that good stuff. But, even though this data is valuable, and you kind of hinted at it, the sheer volume of it often overwhelms teams a lot, and it leads to this data noise that often complicates the decision making, like you said, top down. So, I mean, how can organizations ensure that they're not just, collecting data, that they're actually not extracting good intelligent filtering or prioritization in terms of the insights that they need to have better decision making?
Sure. So you're right. And there is a massive amount of data being collected today. But I do think while that massive amounts of data have been collected over time and it's been there, what we're actually able to do now is sort through